months before you did, which was peg it to the unemployment rate. Peg it to some objective measure on healthcare rather than giving the Secretary of HHS the discretion, because I don't trust anyone in this administration with facts.
Listen, I can tell you one thing. Bernie Sanders does not trust Donald Trump. Kamala Harris does not trust Donald Trump. I don't trust Donald Trump. Okay, we know what we're doing. We know how to legislate. And we also know of the political impossibility of what will happen if he tries to declare that the pandemic is over when it's not. Look what happened to him when he decided to walk across the street from the White House to that church and to militarize. The pushback came from every general. The pushback came from ordinary citizens all across the country. And the same thing will happen if this president with the highest prevarication coefficient in history tries to pretend that the pandemic is over. He will get pushed back by Tony Fauci, by every public health doctor, and by the way, by a high percentage of the Republican Party as well, who know that this man cannot be trusted either to deploy the military or to determine when a pandemic has been completed.
Final thought, Mr. Kennedy, 30 seconds.
He still did it. That's it.
That's less than 30 seconds. And I think we both established you don't like Donald Trump. I want to stay on the pandemic for a moment here. Look, we've been hearing from a lot of viewers on this issue, and I want you both to weigh in on this. Protesters have taken to the street, often shoulder to shoulder. At the same time, elected officials, especially in blue states, have been preaching strict social distancing rules. What do you say to people who were barred from holding a funeral for a loved one or from seeing a family member in a nursing home, even if they were on their deathbed, but are hearing elected officials like yourselves now suddenly support mass gatherings?
I was one of those folks that could not attend a funeral. And I would not wish that on anyone. The personal cost that has now been affecting not just the 110,000 or so families that lost a loved one to this virus, but the untold thousands more that just passed away during this time. It's excruciating. Our nation has also seen wounds that go back from our earliest days come about yet again. And that sickness also needs to heal. That wound needs sunlight and air. And what we have seen on those streets are individuals in anguish and in pain and anger, the likes of which, look, I will never know. I recognize that for some, they have been denied a critical moment in their lives to have closure with a loved one. I also recognize the moment that this nation is in and the collective healing that needs to happen.
Mr. Markey?
My message is that what happened to George Floyd and his family is absolutely tragic. To have a man murdered, have a brother, a father, a son murdered, requires the level of response which we're seeing in our country. The soul of our country is on fire. The buildings were smoldering, but the soul of our country was on fire. And I think all across our country, people need a way to respond. So last Friday night when I was in New Bedford, as they stood to commemorate George Floyd's life and so many others who have lost their lives, they socially distanced and commemorated those lives.
But you know that's not happening everywhere, Mr. Markey. And if in a week or two from now there's a spike in cases, was it still worth it?
Well, I was in Somerville last night for 8 minutes and 47 seconds kneeling. I was over at UMass Boston for 8 minutes and 46 seconds kneeling. I've been going to these demonstrations, and for the most part, people are self-distancing. Yeah, there are some who are not. So I would recommend to people that they socially distance and simultaneously fight the systemic racism that's built into our criminal justice, education, healthcare, and economic system. Just laced with it. But I think we don't have to make the choice at this time. As long as people socially distance, that's irresponsible for people to have gatherings that don't do that, because we will see a spike. But at the same time, it would also be irresponsible not to be out on the street and not to be standing up for the justice which all of these families are calling for all across our country.
Mr. Kennedy.
I'm not going to call the 55,000 people that showed up at Franklin Park on Tuesday afternoon in anguish and in pain to try to get their government's attention after decades, if not centuries, of ignoring their pleas for help. I'm not going to call that irresponsible.